Margaret coming to you from the Great Blacks in Wax, and welcome to the Great Blacks in Wax Open Forum. My guest today is Mr. George Winfield with the Department of Public Works. Oh, and while I'm welcoming you, I want you to also take a look at our exhibit after we've talked to Mr. Winfield on healing hearts. We want to focus on the heart. So we'll be right back. Well, welcome back, folks, and I want to thank you for staying tuned with us. As I said, my guest today is Mr. Winfield with the Department of Public Works. Mr. Winfield,
yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us, Mr. Winfield, talk about you?
State that's south of Maryland, Virginia.
Okay.
Petersburg, Virginia is where I grew up. I spent probably 20 before I left Virginia to do other things.
And what were some of those things that you...
I became a member of the military, in the Air Force.
How long did you stay there?
4 years. 4 years in the Air Force.
Did the force.
Vietnam. Then I decided to go back to school and finish my education.
So where did you go to school?
I got both my degrees in engineering, both a master's and a BS, from Howard University in D.C.
Okay. And with those degrees, where did you move on to then?
I can happily say that after I left Howard University, I started with the City of Baltimore, and I've been with the City of Baltimore for the period when I retired.
Okay. Well, listen, I know you've been chronicled to be the first African American to hold a position. Is it an appointed position, or it's like
no, it's appointed. I work at the pleasure of the mayor. And I have, in my previous positions as bureau head, when I became deputy director, at that time I worked at the pleasure of the director of public works, not the mayor. In this current position, I'm the pleasure of the mayor.
Okay, so what's the responsibility of those that are under you then? Are you just like the head of public works?
Yes, the public works has 3 bureaus and approximately 3,500 people. In the department, we're solid waste, trash removal, and cleaning the city. Responsibility for providing drinking water to 1.8 million people in the metro area, general services.
Okay, well that's great. We have a few more questions to ask you, but we're going to take a break right now.
Thank you.
Come to visit us sometimes at the Great Blacks in Wax. We have a great gift shop here. And you can find things from all over the world, all over the country, that you might want to share with your friends and family. And if you'd like to visit the Great Blacks in Wax Museum, call this number that you see below. And we'll be right back. Come on down. As you can hear and see, the activities going on in here every day during the week. Traffic, phones ringing off the hook. But if you'd like to be a member of the audience, or if you'd like to be involved in our show, give us a call at the number. Okay, well, Mr. Winfield, looks like we have another question from the audience. You want to stand up?
Sure. I'd like to know what the city is doing to improve the infrastructure, the plumbing that's underground now. I know we have problems where pipes break, but are we doing anything to prevent that or to improve old water lines?
Okay. Yes, we are always doing something to help alleviate the problems that occur mostly in the wintertime, because you have the freezing and the thawing, and you have the movement of the ground, which creates the problems because the pipes are not flexible, they're brittle and they break. One of the things we're doing is a consent decree that you've heard about, which basically addresses our sanitary line system. So we're going to be spending close to just to address some of the problems we're experiencing in our sanitary system. On the water side, we're spending close to $2 million a year doing cleaning and lining. Cleaning and lining is where we go in, one end of the and we insert another material inside the pipe in order to make it a new pipe internally. So the cleaning and lining, you would see that because it's where the pipes, temporary pipes, are laid along the curb, and then they have connections going to the house. That's a project. We're renewing the existing pipes to make them new. But we can only do, we've done about 25% of the water line in the city. We're talking about 33,000 miles of pipe. So it's going to take us a period of time to do that. Normal life of a pipe is about 75 to 100 years old. The average age of a pipe in the city at this point in time is about 75 years. So we are working, we're spending money, but we're also trying to be conservative on this. Whatever it costs, it gets passed on to the property owners or the users of the system. So we currently have a rate that's in place for the next 2 years of 9% increase over the next 2 years, each year over the next 2 years. But we're going to rectify the problem that exists. We can never stop it because it's a condition of the weather and the ground movement. So, but we're there. We're getting there.
Washington, D.C. has a problem with lead in their water, and I know some of the public schools have. Do we have a similar problem here in Baltimore, or is that something that's foreign to us?
No, it's not. When you mention public schools, you talking about public schools in D.C. or public schools in Baltimore?
I know D.C. has
right. We don't have the problem that D.C. has. The problem basically comes from lead joints and lead pipes. So they are prone to have the lead in the water. We don't have that problem here in the city of Baltimore. We test our water regularly, and our limits for lead are within the standards. So we don't have that problem here. In the schools, it's not. The schools have ceased using their water fountains because of, again, the lead content in the water in the schools. The water going into the sewer is not contaminated with lead.
Thank you.
I was going to speak to that. Thank you. Speaking of ground movement and all, and part of your engineering process, I recognize in the last couple of years, been having a lot of issues with sinkholes, especially these huge, tremendous ones. In the engineering process, is there some way that you can foresee this happening? Say, if, like the one that happened at our Monument and Cathedral.
Not forecast that. Now we are looking at some monitoring systems to put on some of our larger mains that can send us readings about weaknesses in the pipe. So we're looking to do something like that, but it won't happen through the pipe that you referenced at the location on Cathedral.
That's just one.
That's just one, but that pipe was 40 feet below the surface and constructed in the 1800s, and it was made out of brick. I mean, it was actually a laid pipe that was created. So a break occurs, we try to replace it and get it back into service, so that we won't deprive people of the services that they pay for. So I guess the biggest thing we're doing is the cleaning and relining, what we're trying to do. But there's no way we can prevent or know where the next break is going to be at this point in time.
From the Great Black and Wax Museum, and Mr. Winfield, what education background does that come from?
It requires a minimum of 4 years of study as an engineering. Most courses, they're extended out to 5 years. So I have a BS in engineering, which was 4 years, and I have a master's degree in engineering. which was an additional 1 year. So I have a master's in BS, but it does require hard study. You have to be math and basically the spoken language as well, because engineers not only make presentations.
You humble yourself by saying that you were just an engineer when I know that it takes a lot of time and effort and perseverance to even get a degree in engineering. And that's probably at the time you were going to school as well for black men to even attain a degree in engineering.
I was supposed to.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask that as well.
I try not to put myself on a pedestal. You know, the position that I've held in my lifetime, I try to be that person who's special. I want to respect everybody. So, I mean, we all breathe and walk on the same.
I understand what you're saying, but it's working a lot of effort, and so you should be proud and you know, yourself.
Anyone can do what I've done. It's just a matter of putting the do it.
Yes.
And, you know, it's.
And you did that.
And I did that, but, you know, I don't need to be better than anyone else.
No.
You know, it's use their common sense. It's that keeps you there.
Exactly. Oh, it looks like we have another.
Hi, my name is Linda. Sir, a couple years back when those trains derailed in that tunnel, were you at all involved?
DPW and fire department were very the derailment caused a 40-inch main to the system. So the water of the street surface, which involved the also construction of the light rail tracks that were also impacted by the train derailment.
Well, thank you very much.
You guys have a mentoring program for other young men who may be interested or being involved in this department? I mean, besides trash collectors.
Yeah, right. We've attempted to do some mentoring on a wholesale basis within the department. I would say that has been moderately successful. However, we do have apprenticeship programs within the agency to help train people to get a job within the agency itself. So full apprenticeship programs that we do have.
Okay, but in what capacity? I mean, like I said, I don't promote. I mean, there's nothing wrong with trash collectors because
this is not. This
we want to go.
is in place
Okay.
because again we're responsible for treating the water as well as treating the wastewater. So these are plant operations apprenticeship positions. We do train people to become full-time employees in the department in the technical side of the business.
Is there like a scholarship programs or anything like that?
No, there are no scholarship programs.
Tell the mayor we need some scholarship programs if these kids are, involved. Also, you as a director, or you as a person, what do you do to give back to the community? Do you, in your mentoring, or do you give pep talks?
Some years ago, where I was basically in a middle school, and the focus and the effort some years ago was to attract minorities, especially females, to kind of steer them towards engineering.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a club that I held within a middle school in the city of Baltimore, doing technical things like how to read a drawing, how to design a building. So I worked with, and these were middle school kids that this was done with. So I did that a number of years ago, but I would say recently my work tied to the desk rather than going outside doing a lot of these things that I should be doing.
I understand that. It's just that some folks, I guess, based on the concept of Department of Public Works, don't understand it. Those who think that it's just, aspects of the bill. Why don't
I can tell
you
you.
share a little bit of that with us?
I can tell you. Other than besides trash collection, making sure the city's clean. We also, as I indicated previously, that we're responsible for drinking water, as well as we're responsible for treatment of the waste that generated from the home. So we're responsible for that. And that requires, we have engineers, we have chemists. Those are the type of people that are working in the facilities. Now, we also are responsible for the maintenance of the infrastructure systems, as the stormwater drains, the drinking water pipes, and the sanitary sewers. So we're responsible. So we have a group of people that obviously are responsible, but they, again, they're maintenance people who who makes the labor and the work in the organization. So we have a mix of career people with various backgrounds in that. So we're responsible for purchasing and fielding vehicles, fire equipment, and all the down on the street. We have that responsibility. They're also responsible for engineering and maintenance in city-owned buildings, especially the main buildings downtown. The office buildings, they're city-owned. That's DPW's responsibility. So we have a group of engineers and architects that are responsible for maintenance and design, as well as a group of contractors and staff people responsible for overseeing the maintenance activities like repairing the HVAC. Another responsible for public works and engineering services is that responsible for maintaining the records, the official records for all addresses in the city of Baltimore.
That's a wow.
We also provide permits for someone who wants to use a public street or sidewalk. You have to get a permit to do that. So we're responsible for issuing that permit and providing a permit to the person or the group that wants that. So
See, that's something else I did not know.
there are a number of things that we do within the Department of Public Works.
Welcome back, folks. And it looks like we have another question from the audience. This is really good and interesting, Miss.
Well, I have a question about the water. I understand that the city pays some people in the county like myself. Is that true? And the city's paying for the water for the county people?
That's not true.
It's
not true.
right away.
And the people get a water bill from the city, but it's only for water. The county charges for sewage on the tax bill. So when you add the two together, you would find that if you live in the city, your cost is much cheaper than the county.
Thank you very much. Mr. Winfield, I wanted to ask you on a personal note. I mean, you've been with the Department of Public Works for how many years again?
Since 2000, I've been
the director.
Yes.
Well, what are your plans for the future? You plan to give the city another 20, 30 years?
Since I work at the pleasure of the mayor, I'm here as long as the mayor.
Oh, so you don't have any aspirations to do anything other than...
Probably just to retire and enjoy life.
Okay, you plan to stay in Baltimore if you do that?
Baltimore has grown on me. We'll have to see what happens after I retire.
Okay. I don't know how you guys do so much. I mean, be so involved the way you do. Before I go, you want to talk about...
let me just explain. Well, that is a DPW responsibility, maintaining, cleaning the harbor, the water, as well as we do have skimmers that basically circulate in the inner harbor, picking up any floating debris that occurs in the harbor. What causes that debris is we have people in the city and outside of the city that occur. When it washes down the side of the gutter into the storm drain, which is the opening at the curb, all that material ends up in the inner harbor. So if we are littering, it ends up in one of those storm drains and ends up in the harbor. That's why we need these skimmers out there constantly cleaning, because of how people live.
Yeah, so like the big vacuum, the ones that like
it uses a floating device and a conveyor belt that pulls the trash into the skimmer, and then once it's filled, we go and we dump it and we go back up to it. We also have some smaller boats that get closer into the shoreline.
Okay. And another question that I have: what part, now that we have this issue of Homeland Security, what part will the Department of Public Works play in that?
We are a vital component of the Homeland Security issue. Fire and police are first responders, so they respond initially to any event. Then we would kind of do the secondary follow-up. We would do other things, such as, in case of, one of the things, some of the things we're doing for Homeland Security, we have to protect our water supply system, which means cameras, intrusive detectors to protect that. The most recent thing we've done, because of the security issues, is that we've converted our disinfectant from chlorine to a bleach product. And we've done that because chlorine is very deadly to individuals. So we remove that threat from the nearby neighborhood communities that are in close proximity to our treatment facilities. So we remove that. We now use a bleach product to disinfect the water. We're covering our open finished water reservoirs. Currently, they're all open. At some point in time, we'll be putting covers over all of those to, again, to protect the water.
Oh, it's coming to that.
It's coming to that. So there are a number of things that we are doing that we need to do in the water system because it's very important to any livelihood or life in any environment.
Exactly. Humans, animals, whatever,
Right.
plant life, all that would be important.
So we're
Great to know that you're there. Before I close, though, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the Department of Public Works Museum. You didn't touch on that. I promised that I would. Tell us exactly what's going on down there.
Well, the
How we got
museum,
started.
the Public Works Museum was the first museum that was established in the country. First Public Works Museum.
Didn't know that.
And it's located on the east side of the harbor, adjacent to the Marriott Inner Harbor Hotel. It's open Tuesday through Saturday.
Is it year-round?
It's open year-round. We have on display those things that are related to public works. You find, or anyone would find interesting, old wooden pipes that were used to transmit water.
Wooden pipes?
Wooden pipes that we've excavated and we've preserved, and it's on display in our museum. So I'd be surprised it wouldn't deteriorate if it's in water. So
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes.
That's all part of that learning that engineering thing.
not really. No, it's not us engineering. But we have a number of displays at the museum. It's geared towards adults. For children, city children, there's no charge.
I have to get there and visit it myself. Come to think about it, one of our organizations had to get permit. I didn't know that you were involved in giving out those type of permits, but our Sister to Sister is holding at the convention center Heart Month. This is, of course, as you can see, the display is speaking on Heart Month this year. Today. And so any woman who who wants to have her heart examined, come to the convention center. I believe it's an all day, beginning at about 10 in the morning, and have your heart checked. Okay. Well, I see that you brought this calendar. You want to explain exactly what it's about?
Sure. This is as it says, a public works calendar, but basically it's a recycling calendar. And people were confused about when were the collection days.
Right, I remember.
So last year was our first year. We created a calendar that has other uses other than just for recycling. So this calendar, based on the area that you live in within Baltimore City,
Okay.
but it has other events in the calendar, holidays, city holidays, and things like that. So.
And you're featuring, you highlight some of your better workers.
The calendar also highlights employees of the Department of Public Works. So in each month we highlight an employee as well as a historic site within the city of Baltimore.
Excellent. Oh, that's really neat.
On what to do in droughts, snow, and things like that.
Okay. Speaking of this whole recycling shift, I have some personal issues.
Oh, okay.
No, not only like you can put the recycled material out there, and then what happens? What do we do if it's still there? Like if you I'll put you on the spot.
No, if you set up an appointment, that's a bulk request.
Oh, okay.
That's not recycling.
So days that
Recycling
pick up
would be
certain items.
paper is recycling, and blue bags or commingles. That's what we call recycling.
Okay.
If you have something you want to dispose of, like a refrigerator or stove or whatever,
Okay.
then that's a bulk request where you have to call and we'll give you a pickup date.
Okay.
Now, if you were not serviced, you just call us, call 311,
Okay.
and we'll respond to that.
Well, whose idea was it to come up with the calendar again?
It's a collaborative effort within DPW, our PR office. Came up with the idea. I said, yes, sounds great. Let's do it. And this is our second year on the calendar.
It's a great calendar because the employees, I guess, the ones
That's
who really
correct.
are at their jobs. And then, this is, what's this place? Thurgood Marshall and
That's it's a
you
building.
find all kinds of stuff out.
It's a building in the city that has murals painted on it.
Well, how can a person get one of these if they want
If
it?
you're a city resident, everyone was mailed one in the city.
Oh, okay.
If you don't have one, we ask you on one we mail to you.
Okay. Well, I'll just take this one.
You may have that
Thank you very much. Oh, you just want. Well, I guess your wife must be a very special lady to be able to deal with all the hours that you spend at work and your involvement as being director.
My wife is very supportive for what I've done, and in some cases she's pushed me to accept more responsibility.
Okay.
However, there is a downside. That downside is you spend more time at the work than you do at home. But she's been very supportive. I have 3 children.
Great.
My youngest, well, I have 3 children, 2 boys who are older, and a daughter who's the youngest. And she's currently at College Park in her junior year. She's studying.
Like her dad?
No, none of my kids wanted to follow in my steps.
Some pretty big ones.
But my daughter is pursuing communications, public relations.
Wonderful field to get into.
Yeah. So, but I can owe it all to my wife, who has been my supporter,
That's great.
my pusher.
So you doing anything special with her for Valentine's?
Oh no! Why would you ask me that?
If you get this ahead of Valentine's Day, then you can tell them what you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna book out until the day of.
Oh, see, but see, now that you know that you're procrastinating, you already know you got a week to go. You got a week to get it.
I do my Christmas shopping the day before. I know it's coming, but I just do.
I got you. Okay, well, pretty much I'm having you here. Is there anything you want to tell your audience or you want to share with our young people who aspire to
me.
follow in your shoes, so to speak?
I just want to say that for all people, whether it's you're pursuing education or a job, that you need to put your entire self into that. You need to utilize common sense, because common sense is what gets us. And so, and be mindful of, especially for our young children and men and women, there are the right things and the wrong things to do out there. Stay focused, stay on the right track. Don't be selfish. What your conscience says. If your conscience says don't do it, then don't do it. It's common sense.
That's where you're right.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you for all his responsibility. This is a truly humble man, and I'm glad to have made your acquaintance. Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you for joining me. See you next week this time. Well, Mr. Winfield, I want to thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again in the very near future. And I want to thank you, too, for joining us, and look for me again next week, this time, same time.